Hi, I'm Katie Couric. Welcome to Eye to Eye. They're the casualties of war you don't often hear about, servicemen and women who take their own lives. Armen Keteyian spoke to one veterans' rights advocate who says the VA simply isn't doing enough to help America's vets.
Of all the issues that you deal with, the mental health issue, where would you place that on the list?
Mental health problems among our returning Iraq and Afghanistan war veterans is going to be the #1 health problem from these two wars, followed closely by traumatic brain injury. Let's put this into perspective. Of the 1.5 million service members sent to the two wars, we're estimating about a third will come home with some type of mental health problem.
Right now, how would you grade the VA when it comes to the mental health issue with veterans?
VA gets a split grade. The VA operates something called vet centers. These are local clinics. There are more than 200 of them around the country. The vet centers are opening up more clinics. They're hiring Iraq and Afghanistan war veterans to do outreach. They're hiring more social workers to help the veterans. They get an A. They've been planning, they've been monitoring the situation, and they're acting. However, the full department, including the secretary, they failed in the overall mission.
An F.
An F. They failed. There aren't enough VA psychiatrists and psychologists right now to meet the demand for the veterans for mental health care. If a veteran goes to the Department of Veterans Affairs for medical assistance for anxiety or depression, he's asking for help. He's recognizing that he's having difficulty dealing with their experiences from the war. If that veteran isn't provided treatment soon, that veteran may develop full-blown post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. If left untreated, that veteran may have job problems. They may have family problems. They may end up getting involved in petty crime in order to get money. They may end up being homeless or addicted to drugs and alcohol. All of those adverse consequences.
If I might interrupt you, they may end up committing suicide.
Yes, yes. So these problems, these very significant social problems of unemployment, broken families, homelessness, drug and alcohol abuse, crime, suicide, they can be prevented now if VA steps up to the plate with an aggressive plan to provide care soon.
We asked the VA to provide us veteran suicide data.
Mm-hmm.
They told us they didn't have any. Why is that?
Why is that?
Yeah.
VA has a failure in leadership. Instead of finding out how many veterans are in need of mental health care to prevent suicide, VA is simply ignoring the problem. That is unacceptable. Given the lessons from the Vietnam War, when some veterans committed suicide after they came home, and the same happened after the Gulf War. Our country should know better. These political appointees, instead of doing the right thing, are doing the wrong thing, and they should be held accountable.